Hi, and welcome to Fresh Waves. I'm your host, Bren Masson. Today is the first of our organ donation awareness series. If you haven't done so already, please go to beadonor.ca and make sure that you are registered as an organ donor. The old cards that used to be in your wallet that said, yes, I'd like to be an organ donor, they've all faded. The corners are peeling off and they're no longer valid. You need to go online to beadonor.ca. No one's too young. No one's too old. You just have to go to beadonor.ca. If you do not know how to do that online, ask a young person or ask a neighbor or friend who has a computer and go on and sign up. So we are going to be speaking this morning with Lucy Latino and Danielle Rodriguez. It's a mother and daughter team. I'm going to let them tell their stories. Lucy is a kidney recipient. She needed to have a kidney transplant, and they have a very unusual story about how this all came to pass. Good morning, ladies, and welcome to Fresh Waves.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So, Lucy, can you tell us what happened? Why did you need to have a kidney transplant?
I got diagnosed in 2010 with FSGS. In 2021, they told me I needed a kidney transplant and was told that my best chance to receive one quickly was finding a live donor.
Wow. So when you got diagnosed, that must have been pretty shocking.
Oh, yes, it was. I just kind of froze, and half of the time I kept coming in and out when the doctor was talking.
Yeah, you know, they say that when you're going to the doctor for things that are going to be maybe life-changing, you should always have someone else there who can hear what you don't, because your brain tends to just shut down and say, this can't be happening to me.
Mm-hmm. So I always have my husband with me, and I have Danielle on the phone with us. Because out of three people, even if we miss one answer or one question, there's always someone there to pick it up.
Mm-hmm. So you found out that you needed a kidney.
Yes.
And then did they go through the testing process to make sure that you were eligible to withstand the surgery and all that kind of stuff?
I passed every test, which was wow.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't believe it. The doctor actually said, you're a very healthy person. Here I am thinking to myself, I am.
Yeah, because I bet you didn't feel so healthy at the time, right?
No, I did not. That's why I said to myself, I go, oh, I am. I was shocked. And then you kind of go in a denial phase for a little bit. And then it starts hitting you as soon as they say you need one. And then it's just like you need one right away, let's say. Mm-hmm. My family, after exhausting my circle of friends and family, my daughter Danielle took it upon herself to start an online campaign.
Wow.
To raise awareness. We were met with so much support. We were lucky. Half of the numbers of people came forward to be tested.
Really?
Yes.
These are strangers.
Mm-hmm. It was more strangers.
Wow.
Wow is right. But for some reason, the people couldn't be tested any further for various reasons. Didn't work out. So as we were campaigning, a young woman, saw our campaign. What Danielle did was a lot to campaign for organ donation. We did Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. So she was really out there.
Mm-hmm.
People did see our story. And we were waiting for an organ donation, but a lot of people did come forward, like I was saying. That is until Claire reached out and began testing.
Okay, so Claire reached out and she was a match?
Perfect match.
Wow.
Everything.
Perfect match. Now, at this point, you'd already gone through every friend you've ever known.
Yes.
And your family
strangers.
members.
Yep.
Wow. Now, Danielle, when this was all going on, how did you feel about not being a match for your own mom?
Oh, I cry every time I'm asked this question. When you love someone and you see them suffering, you want to help. And, I'm a natural born helper, like what I enjoy to do. And so I felt defeated and helpless, which is why I did the whole social media campaign. It was like, well, if I can't help my mom directly, I'm helping someone that's either in her shoes or her directly. And I knew in my heart that the online campaign wasn't just for her, right? And I knew, and I've talked to so many living donors and living, and organ recipients along the journey. And, I know with confidence that the online campaign helped more than just her. So, I felt very defeated being unable to help her, but was rewarding to know that by sharing her story, so many other lives were impacted positively.
Mm-hmm. Now, you said there were a number of people that came forward, and these were all strangers who were willing to donate an organ to someone they didn't know.
Yeah, not all of them were strangers. So some were within our circle and our immediate network and were tested but disqualified before we had even started our online campaign. And then through the online campaign, and one of the things that we did was my dad was like probably the most attention grabbing was my dad, Charlie, walking downtown wearing a sandwich board that was made by my then 8-year-old. And it was basically 2 pieces of cardboard attached to some ribbon that said, need need kidney for wife. I apologize. Need kidney for wife. And that sparked a lot of, I guess, waves and attention. And from that effort, a number of people did come forward to get tested. But again, the thing with being a living donor is there are so many health tests that are done because they will not take an organ from someone if they believe there is any possibility that they themselves will need it. Mm-hmm. And so often people get disqualified in kind of the first 2 rounds of testing. And so that's what happened again until Claire, my mom's lifesaver, came forward and was subsequently cleared.
Now, what platform was Claire on, just out of curiosity?
On Instagram.
Wow.
Yeah, on Instagram. And the story is kind of unique. Like, Claire is a regular blood donor, and I had gotten involved with Canadian Blood Services as a volunteer. For many years, I was considered anemic and unable to donate. And then my mom had received blood transfusions, and so I felt just very strongly to somehow I needed to kind of weasel my way in and do something productive with Canadian Blood Services. And so as a volunteer, I follow their Instagram page, and they often post about or repost or reshare posts of blood donors. And Claire had posted, I think she was on her 56th blood donation. And I just reached out to her and applauded, like a clap emoji, her post. And she saw that, and her first message back to me on October 29th was, I want to get tested for your mom, Lucy. Like, send me the form. Like, I want to help if I can. I'm the same blood type as her. And the rest is kind of history.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah.
What do you say to someone who wants to help like that? I mean, there just aren't words.
You're right. No, there are no words.
There aren't.
Now, I know that a lot of organ donations that happen through Trillium, you're not allowed to really know the family of the deceased or who gave you the organ. And when you go into the pools where there's up to 8 people giving and receiving organs, and that's how they do the pool where you may not be a match, but you're a match for someone else, and their friend isn't a match for them, but they're a match for you, and then everything gets swapped around and everyone gets an organ. Again, you often don't know who the donors are. So it's really unique that you know your donor.
We feel actually really lucky to know each other. Because for Claire, she gets to see the benefit and, you know, her kidney and how much another family is enjoying her gift. But for us, we're able to express our gratitude as much as we possibly can in words, because there's really, like you already said, there are not enough words to thank her.
So over the time period, like how long was it between getting diagnosed as needing a kidney and finding the donor?
I got diagnosed in 2010. They told me in 2020 that I needed a kidney leg badly because I was declining so fast. I went from, let's say, 19 down to 5, or GFR, which is what it's called. So once that number reaches 5 and below, it's like you need a kidney, like soon, let's say. So that was hard. But like I said in the beginning, we did a lot of social media. A lot of stuff advertisement was donated to us. We did campaigns from Markham Stouffville, raised money and researched for their magazines. We did a lot of questions.
Now, during this time, so that's how long? When did you get your kidney finally? What year?
2010. I mean, sorry. That's when I got diagnosed. November 17 this year. Oh, last year, November 17.
Wow.
A year, yeah.
Wow.
Just a few months ago.
Yeah, literally.
So how are you feeling?
I'm getting stronger every day. I feel great. It's hard in the beginning, of course. You have to adjust all this medication in your system. They're still adjusting it. But strength-wise, I'm so much better. So much better.
Wow.
I joined a walking group. I started doing that. I started to do like maybe 3-pound weights. Nothing strenuous yet. But I'm looking forward to living my life.
Yeah. Wow. What a gift.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so back to you, Danielle. When you were going through the beginnings of this, did you honestly think that you would get so involved in the social media of it? Like, were you really convinced in your mind that it was going to work?
I mean, there were many days where I was convinced it wasn't going to work.
I can imagine.
And there were, a number of people that I met online who I call my Instagram friends who kind of just kept me going by either checking in or just resharing a post or, telling me about some random person they met who found a kidney online, like, don't give up. And so now I really try and do that myself to encourage others. But no, to answer your question, did I really think? I mean, I guess I must have because I kept at it. But there were probably more days where I didn't think it was going to work than there were days where I was like, this is going to yield the results we're hoping for. But ultimately, like, it didn't matter. I mean, it obviously, of course, mattered. But it didn't because I still knew that something good was coming from the page, right? Like I know, many people signed up to be a donor online, be a donor.ca, to be a deceased donor. Many people started donating blood as a result of the page. So good came from it regardless of the outcome.
Right. That's true. And any awareness to organ donation is a fabulous thing. Okay. So, I just have this image in my mind of a man walking down the street with a sandwich board on him in downtown Toronto that says, "My wife needs a kidney."
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, most people would walk by and think the guy's a quack.
The guy, right. But you know what? They didn't. He actually had like street buskers starting like rapping about my mom's need and like drawing more attention to my dad. And actually we made a friend, our family made a friend who was here for a Cubs Jays game. And this man relentlessly checked up on my mom, by messaging with my dad over the last year. My dad had people offer money and he's like, no, I don't want your money. Like,
Yes.
go donate that to the Kidney Foundation or somewhere else. Like, we're not looking for money right now. So, yes, most would think like, this guy's lost his,
Marbles.
lost his mind. Yeah. But instead he, got tons of high fives and fist bumps and handshakes. Like, he was very supportive. And I think when you go public with such a vulnerable ask, I think as humans, we naturally think like, oh, nobody cares about this story. I don't want to talk about it. No one's going to do this. I'm not just asking for a cup of sugar here. But when in reality, 99% of the people who crossed our path in the last 3 years, we had been looking, they were all very, very, very supportive.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a really nice reminder of, there are good people out there and we can connect in different ways.
He also had people hug him, people that needed kidneys.
Mm-hmm.
They were very touched by our story because then they start following us. And it really gave us a lot of hope also, knowing and like we couldn't believe it, the support out there.
Yeah, it's amazing,
like I said,
isn't it?
We did a lot. Well, Danielle did a lot to do that. Like, we've been on every billboard in Toronto. We've been on a lot of news reporting. What else, Danielle? I don't remember.
You're actually driving downtown and you see a billboard and there's your mom's face. Hi, I need a kidney.
Young and Dundas. And Dundas for a month.
Amazing. That's amazing.
For a month. Every sign off the highway that flashed, my face was on it.
Wow.
And not just for kidney, just for organ donating also.
Yeah.
We are making aware of that. It was not just for us. Of course, that's how it started.
Right.
But we wanted to make people aware of it.
Do you mind if I ask how old you are, Lucy?
I am, I say it with pride. I'm 66.
Wow. Good for you. This is just such an amazing story.
Yes, I'm 66.
Wow.
Yeah. At first, I didn't think like I said, I thought I was so sick. I thought I was going to be old by the time I found a kidney.
Right. Well, some people are on the list for a very long time, right?
Yep.
Yeah. They told us that she could be waiting upwards of 10 years.
Wow.
Yep.
Based on her blood type.
Did you have to have dialysis during that time?
Yes, I was on dialysis for, I think, about 1.5 years.
Mm-hmm. And that's so limiting, isn't it? It really does limit your life and what you can do.
Yes. I was on the dialysis 4 hours, 3 times a week. And you can't sit up. You have to either sit in a chair that reclines slightly, or in my case, I had to be flat on my back, basically, and not move. You can't turn on your side. It's very long, 4 hours.
I can imagine.
Very long. As you get, the longer you're on the machine, your body, don't think it gets used to it. No. It just saves your life. But for my case, I was getting itchy skin, very uncomfortable. My back hurt it. The machine would stop because your blood pressure drops.
Mm.
So it's, like I say, it saves your life. But not everybody experiences the way I did.
Yeah. But still, I think most people say it saves your life, but it's certainly no way to live.
Yeah. No, it takes part of your life away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and you feel really tired and exhausted after you come out of the machine, off the machine.
Mm-hmm.
But also when it takes you the next day, you're better. And then you're back on dialysis. So I'm saying you're on the machine for 4 hours, but it's also by the time you feel a little bit of energy, you're back on the machine.
Yeah. Well, you know that the technical producer of this show, Jason Rumball, he's been on dialysis for over a year now. And, he goes home for a nap after dialysis and feel good for the next day. And then you're back on the machine again.
You're back on the machine.
It takes time to get to the dialysis. It's time to get home. It just consumes your entire life.
Yeah. And you can't really do anything, right? Like, you have to be close to your dialysis center. So, weekends away or road trips, airplane travel is, of course, out of the question for a lot of dialysis patients. But even local day trips, cottages, like we had tried to plan a cottage the year my mom was on dialysis, and it seemed like it was impossible to try and coordinate with the dialysis schedule. So it is very limiting, and it keeps you alive. But you're right, it's not an enjoyable way to live. No.
That's for sure. Well, we're going to take our first little break here on Fresh Waves. This morning we're talking with Lucy and Danielle, a mother and daughter, about Lucy's journey with a kidney transplant, but also the family's journey as Danielle just did everything in her power to find her mom a living donor. I'm Bren, your host here on Fresh Waves, and we'll be back right after this, so stay tuned. We're back on Fresh Waves. I'm your host, Bren Masson. Today we're speaking with Lucy and Danielle. Lucy's the mom, Danielle's the daughter. Lucy needed to have a kidney, and Danielle helped her to get one. Danielle, what inspired you to do an online campaign? I mean, social media gets such a bad rap for being a place of fraudsters and, over dramatic people. I mean, to put your family out there like that was a really brave move, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely uncomfortable at first. But I just felt like I had no other choice. We had exhausted our own immediate network, and I figure, what was the worst that could have happened? Sure, people are going to think we're weird, and, why can't you guys donate to your mom? And, you're faced with your own self-talk and your self-doubt. But it just got to a point where we just didn't care. Like, we cared more about my mom and her well-being and 4,000 other Canadians that are waiting for a life-saving transplant. We care more about that than what people might think. And as I mentioned earlier, we were pleasantly surprised with the support. So we just felt like our hands were tied and we had no other choice, and we needed to reach a lot of people quickly. We tried some more traditional ways of advertising, like posting signs around Stouffville on community mailboxes and outside storefronts along Main Street. And, the retailers were very supportive and allowed us to do that, and it was great. But we really needed something bigger and broader, and social media allowed that to happen.
Well, it's amazing because social media is also international, multinational.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It was actually really neat to see the power of a post and a share and a click and a like, right? Because the algorithms then start bumping you into feeds of people you otherwise wouldn't be exposed to. So I will say I learned probably more than I ever needed to know about social media. As an HR person, it's not really marketing, and social media is not my specialty by any means, but I don't know. I winged it.
You winged it, but you winged it well.
Yes.
Yeah, very well.
We did it.
So when you have lots of posts, and they gain popularity, there are times when you end up with like 400 replies. How did you sit down and read through all of those replies and comments and things like that? That's a full-time job in itself.
It is. I can. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
It could be. Truthfully, I wasn't necessarily blessed with that many replies to a post. The one post that really took off, as I mentioned, was my dad walking around downtown Toronto with his sandwich board. And it was a weekend that I was away with my family in Niagara Falls. So it was hard to get back to everyone, but I did. And it was important to me to at least try and reply to everybody. But I just kind of made the time. I don't know. It was a part-time job. Like, I was very committed to it. You know, I'd get my kids down to bed. And, you know, what would I be doing otherwise? Right?
Yeah, that's true. And
she didn't sleep.
She didn't sleep?
I kind of slept.
And how about you, Lucy? What were you thinking through all of this? Because it's not, sometimes, you know, those of us who are past the 55 mark, it's not something that we do a lot of. You know, there's very few real internet bugs, and, you know, I'm not on Twitter at all, although I've been told over and over I should be. And, you know, I check Instagram to say, I like this, I like that, I like this, I like that. But, you know, I don't spend hours on it, that's for sure.
No, I don't know where to begin. If I had to do what Danielle did, no, I wouldn't know where to begin. Grateful. I can't believe what she's done and what she's still doing.
Yeah.
The time she puts in to help other people also. Now she's really on a different bandwagon, I call it.
Okay.
She's involved. That's it. Now she's involved. And how do I feel? Grateful that I have such an amazing young woman in my life. Yeah.
Proud of your daughter.
Extremely. Extremely. I call her my daughter and a woman of power.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because she's doing so much for me, of course, but also for other people. And she's continuing to be that woman.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
If the only thing that we can say at the end of it all is that we raised really good kids, I think that that's like the best thing in life that you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, I've got 4 kids, so I often say I've raised 4 good human beings, and
Yep.
pat, we all moms deserve a nice pat every once in a while to say we've done good.
Oh, when they will tell you, like my daughter says, well, I learned from you.
Oh, isn't that nice?
So she says, I learned from you. I go, oh no, sure, much better, dear. Or, you know, getting the word out much better than I would ever be.
Lucy, you said that this all began with a diagnosis in 2010,
Yep.
but you didn't need the kidney for 10 years after that.
Yes. I changed my eating habit. I was on medication for a while to help me keep my kidney.
Mm-hmm.
So I slowed it down, let's just say. My doctor really did help with that.
Mm-hmm. And then so that allowed you some time to still live your life and everything. Then you get the diagnosis that you need to get a kidney. You're at the point where now you need a kidney. Did it ever cross?
It took a while to decline. It didn't decline like right away.
Right.
But towards the end, once it reaches a certain number, it just plummets. It's like, yeah, I can't, do anything. And you're in and out of the hospital when it gets bad.
Right.
Constantly. And that's not a way to live either.
No, it isn't. No. So did you ever think that you might go to extreme measures, like you hear of people going overseas and trying to get the operation and get a kidney from someplace else?
Personally, for me,
mm-hmm.
No, I would never consider it. I didn't even consider it, no.
Good.
We have the best hospital, best health care. So to me, no. I did not.
So which hospital did you have the transplant at?
Toronto General.
It's one of the best in the world.
Yes.
It was just rated number 3 in the world.
Yeah, it's a good one. So, I have a friend who works out of the General, and she just loves it down there.
I do. I didn't even consider another country. I did not.
So you started down this road, and the social media, it took off in a way, didn't it? Or no? Like at first, was it hard to get people to engage in these kinds of posts? It's not like a happy news post of any kind.
It didn't take off, but there were the regular, I call them cheerleaders, to support us. You know, we got the most, I guess, engagement following bigger things, right? So my dad with the sign, or the Markham Stouffville Hospital holiday campaign partnership, when there were kind of bigger nuggets. Mm-hmm. But, you know, the day-to-day, I tried to keep the page a mix between information and knowledge, but also my mom's current health situation, because I really felt strongly that if people knew more about organ donation and what that means, and that you can go on to live a very healthy, normal life with one kidney or with only part of your liver, I felt that people would consider it more. And so I wanted to keep information, and then not all the doom and gloom that comes with failing kidneys, dialysis, hospital stays, infections, and all the rest of it that my mom was going through.
Mm-hmm. Well, you got to sort of pump up the positive, as they say.
Yeah.
Now that you've become involved to get your mom a kidney, and Lucy, now that you have your kidney, where do you go from here?
Yeah, so one of the things that Claire and I, my mom's donor, and I talk about regularly is how we can help other people who are in my mom's shoes. And so whether it's Claire sharing kind of her experience as a donor and how, air quote, as easy it was for her, and help others who are looking for living donors, for myself, help them with their social media campaigns and share kind of what worked with us, maybe introduce them to contacts, whether it was media personalities or newspaper editors, etc. Like just try and facilitate introductions so that their search can take off. That's kind of how I envision the future of, you know, Lucy Needs a Kidney on social media. Because I just don't feel like I'm done yet. I spoke to a wonderful woman, 36 years old, lives in Ottawa, who is looking for a kidney donor. I spoke to her yesterday over my lunch for a good 40 minutes. And I was just like, listen, like, I'll send you all my posts, just repurpose them however you need them. You know, I offered to edit anything she drafts if she wants a second set of eyes, like just to kind of be that person to cheer her on and encourage her not to take the foot off the gas, because it can happen. There are great people out there. There's, you know, I genuinely believe that there's, you know, a Claire for everyone who needs an organ. It's just, they just need to hear the story, and it very well could compel them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And there are those pools available so that if you don't match the person that you're first inquiring about, don't stop there. If you're willing to give your kidney, then look for these pools, make some inquiries, call the Canadian Kidney Foundation or the Trillium Gift of Life, and try and get involved in a way that would allow someone else the gift of life. And that's exactly what it is. It's the gift of life.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a paired program. There's also that people can, like your friend, your husband, even a stranger, can be a paired program. Hey, listen, I saw this. I want to help this person. Mm-hmm. And they will pair you with a person that needs a kidney.
When they told you that you have to be healthy and you have to pass all of these tests, were they rigorous tests? Like, does the person who comes forward have to be in pristine health and, you know, a super athlete and have the most clean, incredible diet known to mankind? And
no, that sounds like our Claire.
It does sound like Claire for sure. However, not necessarily, Bren. Like, an overall generally healthy person could very well still be a living donor. They don't necessarily need to be an athlete or need to, you know, have the cleanest diet, if you will. I don't think many people, you know, are in that position, right? To be an athlete and whatever, have access to all the greatest food, etc. So not necessarily. I think being an organ donor is more attainable than people think. And if they were considering it, going through the steps in the screening is really the only way to find out if they're healthy enough, right? And I said that to people. I've had people say like, oh, I'm too old to be a donor. I'm like, you're not too old. Like, you are not too old. There's someone that's 72 in Ontario who has donated their kidney as a living donor. It has less to do with, you know, the year you were born and more to do with just your overall health. And health doesn't necessarily mean you have to be an athlete.
Yeah.
And so I just wish more people would not disqualify themselves and rather give it a try if it's something that they're interested in. And same with being a deceased donor. I've had people say like, oh, you know, I can't donate blood, so I'm not even going to register to be a donor because, you know, why would they want my kidneys if they don't want my blood? It's like, well, those are two very different things. And when you're deceased, there's not necessarily a focus on the safety or your survival at that point, right? And so your organs or your eyes or your skin tissue or your intestines or whatever could very well give someone else that second chance that they've been hoping for. And so I think that, you know, that's one important message that I'd love to get out there is please don't disqualify yourself. Let the professionals do what they do best and assess your eligibility.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And, you know, the Trillium Gift of Life has statistics on ages of things, and they have had someone in their 80s who passed away donate their heart to someone who was in their 50s, and it worked very well. So
yeah, it's amazing.
You never know, right? You never know. The things that we take for granted and other people take as the most precious thing they've ever had, like sight.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, Lucy, what would you say to people who are suffering from kidney disease and need to find an organ other than call Danielle?
I need that. Please call me.
Yes. Oh.
You have to keep up hope, don't you?
Very much so. Hope. You meet people that give you hope, which helps. My community was great also at that. My friends, my family. You can't give up hope at all.
It must be tough, though, some days, huh?
It is very tough, especially when you come home and you're exhausted. You're always in the hospital because as your kidney declines, as I was saying, it's hard. Very hard.
And then if someone tells you that you're going to be living in that state for another 2 or 3 years, it must be just so disheartening.
Yes, it kind of sometimes discourages you. But like I say, I'm a positive person that thinks always, don't get me wrong, I did have my bad days and I used to get them a lot. But it's still, like I say, your friends, your family, and your community gives you that hope for us. Like, don't give up hope.
Yeah, that's
and
a
like
good
Danielle
message.
says, there are people out there. If you don't put yourself out there, you won't know.
Exactly.
You won't know.
Well, I think now Danielle has a new path. How to get your message out on social media when it's a message of life and death, not a message of, you need to buy more coffee sticks or you need this new water bottle. I mean, this is a message that is going to save someone's life. It's so important.
Yeah. I had a manager once say we have to turn our mess into a message. And I kind of feel like this is it, right? Like it was our mess and we put it out there and as a message, and I don't know, that's always kind of stuck with me.
True.
Are you afraid that you're going to get sucked down this rabbit hole and this is what you're going to be doing for the rest of your life, Danielle?
No, that's like a dream of mine. if I could retire and make this a career, I would. But until then, it's just a labor of love.
Yeah. And what a labor of love it is. It's just such a beautiful thing that you're doing.
Yeah, no, thank you. Bren, there's some stats online that I thought were really interesting that our Stouffville listeners might be interested in knowing about.
Okay.
I made a post on social and Facebook and the Stouffville Bulletin on Jan 21st. But online, via donor.ca, they have statistics by towns and cities across Canada that show where your town is placed for registered organ donors. And I was very disappointed to see that Stouffville sits at a 34% donor registration rate, and we're 146th place across Ontario. And our neighbors in Uxbridge are in 38th place. So I think that we should champion a healthy competition to see if we can get those donor registration rates up.
Well, I agree with you 100%. And every year when we do this show, these shows, I should say, we talk about these statistics, and we hope that, it's awful that we have to have something like the Humboldt bus crash. And we have to have a young person like Logan Boulet pass away in order to spike the largest organ donation campaign ever in the country of Canada. And I don't want to wait for another tragedy to happen before people jump on board. This is something that should just be so natural. I mean, I know that there are provinces that are looking into the opt-out program versus opt-in. And I know they've come across some major hurdles with that, but by and large, I do believe that that's the way to go. I think that everybody should be an organ donor unless there's a reason that you can't be.
Agreed.
Yep.
Yeah, agreed. I would love to see Ontario move to a presumed consent system where people can opt out.
How is your family doing now that you have the transplant and, you can dance down the street and kick up your heels and life is grand? How's the family doing? Are you still going to be involved in this campaign of organ donation?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Yes, that's the plan. So's Claire. So yes.
Yeah, I think the 2.0 version of this, Bren, is now showing the impact of organ donation. And once my mom is more recovered, she's not quite 4 months, I guess 3.5 months out since her surgery. So once she's more recovered and able to truly enjoy the gift with whatever that might be, whether it's volunteering or travel or exercise, sleepovers with her grandkids, whatever that is, I think the 2.0 version is just sharing the good that came from transplant, right? And the life that she's able to live as a result.
Yes. I think you're right about that. And it's quite a brave thing. We will be talking with Claire at one point during this Organ Donation Awareness Month of April. We will be talking with Claire about her decision to become a living donor and what she's going to do going forward. I suppose you have a lifelong friend now, Lucy.
Yes, very much. She is my family, you could say. Yeah, my family. She even said that.
Yeah.
We were supposed to spend family day together, but due to my recovery still, it was impossible. But yes, it was amazing to meet her. Amazing that I have that opportunity to meet her. Like, not everybody does, which they're still grateful, of course. But for me, it was, and for her, it was actually an amazing feeling to meet her. I remember we met her in the hospital, and it was unbelievable to meet her. I think my first words that were said, I said, "I love you. I can't believe you're real." I really couldn't believe, like, hello, because before that, Danielle was talking social media with her. They became friends. As she was getting tested, she had questions for Danielle, and, it was, and it is great. It is. I couldn't, you really can't believe it. if you get the feeling you get after your transplant was, even though I was heavily medicated, it was like, wow. Still in my head, I kept saying, wow, is this happening to me? This happened to me. It's truly a miracle.
Yeah. I can't even
Truly
imagine. It must have been incredible.
Yeah, as soon as I opened my eyes, I could see, because my vision was getting blurry because all the, I don't know, the toxic, I guess, in your blood.
Mm-hmm.
It was like I felt funny all the time, like my vision. And as soon as I came out, I go, oh my gosh, I can see better. I can see clearly here. Like,
wow.
It's unbelievable.
How was that day for you, Danielle?
Oh, it was so magical. It was so magical. Like, very emotional, but just very, very surreal.
Yeah, we were like, oh, I couldn't believe it still. And sometimes I still think, wow. I still get that wow moment, especially that I'm getting better. It's like, wow.
Well, we listen to the news every day, and I sometimes say to myself, I'm not going to listen today, but you kind of get this feeling that you want to know what's going on in the world. And after listening to the news about all these people who are so careless with life, with shootings and stabbings and all the bad news that you hear, I wish that this story was on the news the day that you got your kidney. There should be a story where Lucy's waking up this morning with a new kidney and life is looking great for her. Thank you to her donor, Claire. Thank you to her daughter for helping her find this kidney. That's a news story that I want to hear. That would set my day off on such a nice note. I'd be skipping down the driveway.
Yes.
It's funny you say that, because we reached out to CBC News after my mom's, or just before, Claire and my mom's surgery. And one of the reporters wrote me back and said, this is the feel-good story, the feel-good news story that Canadians need to hear right now. Because to your point, it is like a let's skip down the hall, happy news story.
Yeah. It really is.
We did the interview in front of the hospital, my husband and I, just the day that I was going in.
Wow.
And then they also did Claire, which was unbelievable. Unbelievable. Because they were really much, like Danielle says, they wanted to say our story, because it is a feel-good story.
Mm-hmm. It is a feel-good story.
Everybody hope, period. It just gives hope.
Yeah. Because it's not just kidneys that people are looking for. There's living liver donors as well. And when people pass away, they think, oh, well, I don't want someone chopping me up into pieces and giving me away. Why not? Heaven doesn't need your organs. We need them down here.
Yep. And it's funny, they don't come with you. People assume that their organs will go with them.
Yeah. You're right. They don't.
They don't. You'd be surprised how many people I meet that say, oh, no, I'm not going that way. Sure. And then I tell them they don't come with you.
So what happens to you when you go to the grocery store now, Lucy? Because you've had all this social media attention, you've had all the big media attention, and now you're on Fresh Waves on Whistle FM. Do you go to the grocery store and people say, oh, that's Lucy, that's the lady who has Claire's kidney?
Well, actually, we in our town, in Stouffville, a lot of people do know us, our family. So sometimes we get stopped quite often. And, oh, how are you doing? You look great. We saw you here. We saw you there. Oh, I saw your sign. I mean, we come out of one of the coffee shops on Main Street, and there's a bunch of people that ride bikes, and we've been stopped. They see our sign on our car, and they've stopped us. Oh, yeah, you're the one. We've seen your truck. And we have friends in our neighborhood that have us on their truck also.
Oh, that's so nice.
So, yeah. Like I say, the neighbor's been great. All the feedback.
Oh, that's terrific. Well, Jason used to live in Stouffville, Jason Rumball, and he's looking for a kidney. So I will take the opportunity on this show to say, we need a kidney for Jason Rumball. So if anyone's interested in being a live donor, we've got a terrific guy named Jason who is really looking for a kidney. So we're going to launch a campaign for Jason. He's already on Facebook, but we need to do a bit more to try and generate some interest so that we can find a kidney for our Jason.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well.
There's another job for you, Danielle.
Yeah, no, Jay and I actually talk quite a bit over Instagram, so.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, he's great.
He is.
Wow, for sure.
Well, for everybody out there who is listening to this show and hasn't done so yet, go to beadonor.ca and make sure that you're registered to be a donor. If you have not considered it before, maybe now's a good time to think about whether you'd like to be a living donor and give someone else the gift of life. So I'd love to say thank you so much, Lucy and Danielle, for sharing your story, for being out there and bringing awareness to organ donation. And Lucy, I just wish you the very best going forward. I hope that you get all your meds sorted out and that you have a wonderful life.
Can't wait.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
You've been listening to Fresh Waves. I'm your host, Bren Masson. Again, if you have not done so already, please go to beadonor.ca. We have lots of organ donation shows, stories, podcasts on our YouTube channel, Fresh Waves Radio. Hop on over, hit subscribe, and you can listen to this broadcast and many others about organ donation and the stories of people who have benefited greatly from organ donation. We'll talk to you again next week on Fresh Waves.